Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Jashana here to talk about some friggin' books. I feel as though it has been a hot minute since I've done a recent wrap-up. I think I've been saying that every time I've done a recent wrap-up in recent months because I just have been reading quite slowly. It's fine. Also, I cut my hair. Yeah, I woke up this morning and said, you know what I feel like doing? Cutting my fucking bangs. So I did. And then, Lily, no, baby girl. Oh, you're so cute. This little lady has been so fucking needy lately. Oh, are you embarrassed? Well, that's what happens when you come up here. Oh, that baby's so cute. That baby's so cute. Okay, go on. No, oh my God. She is obsessed with me lately. Like, just wants to cling to me. Baby, I know, I'm so sorry. Anyway, yeah, I woke up and said, fuck it, let's cut my bangs and do curtain bangs. And I did, and it wasn't terrible. Okay, I didn't do a terrible job, but they were a little, like, choppy. I think I cut too much, like I went back too far, and then I also cut them a little too short. Oops, it's fine. They'll grow out. My hair grows pretty fast. But then also I wanted layers and stuff cut into my hair, so I went to the salon and was like, can you give me some layers and also finesse this shit, because I did it it was a little rough around the edges, but I really like it. It's gonna take some getting used to because you guys know I don't like hair in my face, and that is why I'm constantly touching my fucking hair. It's fine. I gotta try to just like let it be. It's okay. It's okay if hair is touching your face, Jashana. Try to tell myself that. So, okay, yeah, let's get into this recent wrap-up. I'm going to talk about, I don't know how many, because there's several, but like a lot of DNFs and several short stories that I'm really going to count as one thing. So, I don't know. A couple of these I did also already talk about. The first being this novella, Sun Daughters, Sea Daughters by Aimee Ogden. This was part of my new kind of ongoing thing I'm going to be doing periodically, grabbing a handful of books that StoryGraph recommends to me and seeing if I felt like they were good recommendations or not. And this one, definitely great. Cat's throwing up. Awesome. Love it here. I don't remember where I was because my cat decided to throw up and I had to go take care of that. But yeah, anyways, this book, it's a novella. It is a space opera that reimagines The Little Mermaid. Wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about that, but I ended up quite enjoying this. The characters, I really liked them, and the main love interest, we don't even get to meet him, really. Like, we don't get to know him at all, other than through the main character, and I could feel how much she loved him and really cared about him. And I thought that the world building was really good as well. With a novella, you know, there's only so much they can put in there, but you want there to be enough without it feeling crammed in, and that was the case here. It felt like enough world building. I understood, and it's like in space, so we're going to different planets, and I had a good understanding of it all without it feeling like I was just getting bombarded with world building information. The biggest thing for me is the authorial voice. I really enjoyed the prose, the authorial voice. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. There were two quotes that I saved. The first one is on the literal first page, and it's when the main character is, the whole thing is she's trying to find a cure to a disease that is ravaging her adopted home, and her love is dying, so she wants to find a way. And she doesn't want to wake him up to say goodbye because she knows he would try to stop her. So she's just thinking to herself, like, how she's about to just dip without telling him what's going on or where she's going. But if he should open his eyes now and only look at her with the fear that he might die without her to soothe his slide beneath those forever waves, Atuale is a strong woman, but strength is no barrier to a bone knife of guilty grief slipped beneath the breastbone. And right there, I was like, all right, I'm fucking bought in. I'm here for it. Let's go. So good. So good. Definitely want to check out more by Aimee Ogden. Novellas don't grip me as much. Obviously, it's just harder to get super duper invested. But this left me feeling like I want a full-length novel of these characters in this world. Like, I want more. I was given enough for this story, but I was intrigued enough by these characters in this world that I did want more. I ended up giving this one 4 Pushinicorns. A science fiction space opera reimagining of The Little Mermaid novella. Very surprising that I enjoyed this at all, really. And then another one that was for that little project, and that is Master of Poisons by Andrea Hairston. This is adult epic fantasy set in an African-inspired world, and it is a writing style that is quite lush, poetic, folk-tale-y, feels like someone is telling you some sort of folk tale. I ended up DNFing this. I did give it 100 pages. I just wasn't quite in the mood for this writing style. The characters, a lot of times, the dialogue, they were kind of just speaking in riddles to each other, like half thoughts, but like understanding each other. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. If I was in a better headspace for this, I could probably enjoy it, but I'm just not right now. And some of the prose even just felt a little bit like I'm half asleep, falling asleep, and can't quite grasp a thought. You know? I don't know. If that sounds appealing to you, check this out, because I do think what I read, I think it's like well written. I was curious about the plot. I liked the characters already, but the writing style, I just couldn't at the moment. This is one where I could see myself going back to later. But for now, I said no thanks. Next, I read Kushiel's Dart by Jacqueline Carey. Took me about a month. Lily, no. No. I'm sorry, baby. This is adult fantasy. I would subcategorize it as epic fantasy, political fantasy for sure. There's a little bit of a quest happening here too. And there is romance, but vaguely in this first book, there's really not like a main romance that we're following. There's something developing, but it's not the focus by any stretch of the imagination. There definitely are erotica scenes in this book, and you'll understand why. I did do a full-length individual review about this if you want more detailed thoughts on it, and it is spoiler-free. But yeah, anyways, this is in a world where it says, I'm just going to read the back, or parts of the back anyways. Terre d'Ange, that's the name of their world, or their country. A place of unsurpassing beauty and grace. It is said that those who dwell there are formed from the seed of angels and men, and all live by one simple rule, love as thou wilt. Phaedra no Delaunay, a woman with a unique gift. Pricked by Kushiel's dart, she is bound to forever experience pain and pleasure as one. Trained equally in the courtly arts and the talents of the bedchamber, she is able to observe, remember, and analyze her clients and learn their darkest secrets through her scarlet wave of passion. One of those secrets reveals a plot that threatens the very foundation of Terre d'Ange. Treachery sets her on her path. Love and honor goad her further, and will take her to the edge of despair and beyond. So that's the general gist of it. We are following the main character, Phaedra. We are in her head. It's her first-person point of view. I really liked her. She is a very appealing heroine to me. Very strong, realistic. I don't know. I just really liked her. I liked her a lot. Her strength of will is astounding. And the world building, it's a lot at the beginning, as I said in my individual review. This took me for fucking ever to read through because probably the first 50%, I had to continuously go back to not only the map, but the very extensive glossary. I just was constantly like, who the fuck is that person? I needed a dry erase board with like names and like how they're connected and like family trees. I needed that because it was a lot. But as I said also in that review, it wasn't a feeling, for me there's a huge difference between, oh God, I guess I don't know who they're fucking talking about. Let me go back, I guess. And then between that and like, all right, I don't know who that is, but I want to know who that is. So let me go dig into this and figure out who this is because I'm very curious. And that was the case. I was very curious about what was going on. I was just very confused about what was going on. This world is really cool though. The way sex is built into their belief system, their culture is really cool. They very much revere sex. It was very interesting. The writing style and authorial voice, it is kind of a lush. I saw some reviews saying they felt like Jacqueline Carey overwrites things. I didn't feel that way. I liked it. I think it makes sense. Chris at Chris's Bookish Cauldron is who kind of prompted me to like read this sooner. It had been on my TBR for fucking ever. And he just read the series and was talking about it more recently. And I was like, let me fucking get to that already. And he said it too, that like the writing style makes sense. This world is such a lush, beautiful world. Beauty is such a key thing for them. They highly revere beauty as well. So it makes sense to have a writing style that is this very beautiful, lush, perhaps, I guess, overwritten sometimes. I didn't even really notice it though, honestly. When I was reading it, I didn't notice it until I saw those reviews and I was like, oh yeah, I mean, they're not wrong, but it just didn't bother me in the slightest. Content warnings for, I mean, BDSM, sex with knife play, blood play, bondage, submissive, dominatrix type stuff. There is one brief scene of attempted forced rape. And then there is a period where someone is in slavery. In this world, if you are a prostitute, you are technically in servitude, but it's like indentured servitude where you just work it off and then at a certain point you've paid off your debt and you're free, which is still, not great. But it's very different from just full-on slavery. I own you as a human being. And there is a point where we do have someone who is owned as a human being and they have to have sex with their owner. And it's not forced, like holding you down rape, but I mean, that's still rape. It's very much non-consensual. There's definitely like murder, gore, there's battle scenes, there's war that happens, people get beheaded, and that's described a bit. And then there is one scene of pretty intense torture. Pretty gruesome. Just FYI on that. I ended up giving this one 4 Pushinicorns. I think it probably would have been 4.5 had the beginning part not just kind of made me feel like I was walking through molasses a little bit. But honestly, I might even change it to like a 4.25 because I think about this book quite a bit still, and I read it in November is when I finished it. So do I want to change it? I think I do. I'm going to change it. 4.25, bitches. So yay, cannot wait to continue with the series. And then another DNF that was also from the StoryGraph recommendations video. It was kind of a fail, but 7 Black Diamonds by Melissa Marr. This one just ended up, the plot of it, I was enjoying the characters. It is young adult, but the tone of it was fine. I was like, okay, cool. I'm good with this. The dialogue is cool. The tone of it is fine. The writing style, whatever. But it was just more the plot, where the plot was going. I felt myself getting a little annoyed. And then I reread the back and I realized it was on its way to a school setting. And I don't love those. So I was like, I just can see my enjoyment dipping. So I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to DNF it. And I did. And then another DNF from that. It was pretty quick DNF though. I mean, I read 3 or 4 chapters, I want to say. Brave New World by Desiree King. I was super jazzed for this. Adult, vampire, romance, dystopian fantasy. Sounded cool. But this one, the tone of it, the authorial voice, writing style, whatever you want to call it, just, I wasn't loving it. I wasn't in the mood for it. I technically have like 5 books, but 3 of them are all short stories I'm going to talk about as one, and they were very, very short. That is the Wrath and the Dawn shorts. They're not even novellas. They're very much like short stories. The Moth and the Flame, The Crown and the Dagger, and The Mirror and the Maze, all by Renee Ahdieh. And they're just little shorts in between the 2 books in the duology. I liked them. They're fine. They're cute. I like these characters. They were just super, super short. But I ended up saying 3 Pashinicorns for all of them. So, and I counted this as one read as far as my, how many books I read in a year. And then book 2 of the Mages of the Wheel series. This book is Storm and Shield by J.D. Evans. I quite enjoyed this. We follow completely different characters, and it seems like book 3 also follows completely different characters. This is adult fantasy romance, but it's a fantasy romance that definitely it's weird because the romance is the focal point. Like the first book followed 2 characters who end up together, and then the second book was following 2 different characters who end up together, and like the romance between them is very much the focal point of the story, but so is the world building and the politics and what's going on in their kingdom. So I feel like it's a very good blend as far as a fantasy romance goes. And these 2 main characters, I really enjoyed the dynamic between them. I thought it was so much fun. And he was so precious. Oh my God. There are some scenes in this book that are just the fucking cutest shit ever. Sleepy Bashir, like ideal man. And they both have their hang-ups, but it didn't get in their way too much, which was good for me. And yeah, with the world, like I said, there's more stuff happening in the world. We see the characters from the first book, and we're furthering on that plot. We're furthering on the plot of what's going on in this kingdom, which was enjoyable because I really do enjoy this world. And the magic is really cool. We get to see a fair amount of magic being used, and it's like elemental magic, and there's some really cool shit that goes on with the magic later on in this world, without spoiling anything. There was a little bit of a lack of communication thing that happened, but it was incredibly short-lived, like very brief, like less than a day, and there wasn't some huge overreaction as a result of it. So yeah, I had a really good time with this. I ended up actually liking the romance in this one better than the romance in the first one, and I did enjoy the romance in the first one. I can't remember what I rated the first book. Initially, I put down that I was going to rate this book, Storm and Shield, 3.75, but I have since then changed my mind, and I'm going to alter it, and I'm going to bump it up to 4. 4 Pashinicorns. I really enjoyed it. Their romance was so cute. Like I said, there's just some moments. Sleepy Bashir is the fucking cutest shit ever. Oh my God. And the sex scenes were good, I felt. And I just really liked these characters. Their playful dynamic was just a lot of fun. And then I read A Curse in Ash by Julie Zantopoulos. And she is a fellow booktuber, an author tuber. And I love this cover, by the way. And I like that it's like the matte, almost buttery. Yeah, it's a little buttery cover, but I really like this cover a lot. This is adult fantasy romance, paranormal. There is polyamorous representation here. There's other queer LGBTQIA plus representation here. It's a diverse cast of characters, which is nice. Our main character, Ash, is in her early 20s. She's a very powerful witch in a smaller town and deals with the Fae regularly. In this world, the Fae are a known thing. People know about the Veil. They know about Fae, etc. and witches. And yeah, she deals with the Fae regularly in various ways, including having a Fae prince fiance. A handsome stranger moves into town and ends up adding some complications to her life. And we are following Ash and this other character, this other guy that moves into town, Reardon. And then some magical attacks start happening and shit needs to get figured out. And Ash may have to tap into her magic and her power more than ever before in order to save some innocent lives. So I really enjoyed the characters here. I liked Ash and I liked Reardon. And I think the biggest thing is that I really enjoyed all of the very healthy, mature friendships that we see here between Ash and her best friend and then her just friend group. They were a very just, down to earth, nice people that got along and were supportive of each other. There was never any petty friend drama to like add to the tension. That was never needed, and I really appreciated that. And then also the romantic relationships that are happening. Again, healthy, communicative, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And mature, whatnot. Really enjoyed that. Like, the drama of this story was the plot, and kind of like the natural drama of the complicated relationships that are happening, but not because the characters were behaving badly toward each other or causing drama for each other, if that makes sense. For the authorial voice, this was one thing that was a bit of a detractor for me. It wasn't bad by any means, but occasionally it did feel like leaning more into young adult with the dialogue a little bit, where it didn't feel super natural to me. Not a lot. You guys know I've DNF'd many a book for bad dialogue, in my opinion, that dialogue that wasn't working for me. So it wasn't to that level where like every conversation I was like, oh my God, but just a couple times where I was like, that didn't feel super normal, natural, whatever. For the plot and the pacing, I felt like the pacing was really good. It was clicking along at a steady pace. For the plot, that was another little thing at the end. Like, it's clearly part of a series, and I want to continue with the series. And I get that I didn't need every question answered by any means. I like when some things are left mysterious, like, okay, well, wait, what about that? Or when, like, the big problem of book one is solved, but then in the end, we get some more questions that lead us into book two. I really like that. With this one, I wish that there had been more answers. Like, the big mystery of this book doesn't really get answers. Like, sort of, but not really. And I wish that there had been slightly more that we got as far as what the fuck is going on, because some shit goes down. And yeah, like I said, I didn't want everything spoon-fed. I didn't want everything answered, but it felt like we left out a few really key things. And it still would have, like, there still would have been curiosity for what's going to happen in the next book. So I just wish that something had been a little bit more tied up and like finalized. Not everything, but one thing in particular. I'm trying to be spoiler free. So yeah, enjoyment wise, I definitely enjoyed this. The sex scenes were so great, and I felt like the romance was fun and interesting, and I liked how it was all playing out in a very healthy way, because again, poly stuff is going on, and like, it wasn't some petty filled love triangle type situation. It was just very naturally kind of falling into a polyamorous type situation. And I'm curious to see how that is all going to go in the next book. And it's not a spoiler, by the way. It's like is it in the synopses? Yeah, she talks about the fiance and then a handsome stranger. And like, I've seen lots of blurbs for it talking about like poly representation. So I don't personally think that's a spoiler. I didn't find myself super duper invested in the characters. I liked them, but I wasn't incredibly emotionally attached. But I could see myself becoming more emotionally attached in the next book. And like I said, I definitely plan to continue. Quite enjoyed it. Some things I didn't love, but I am intrigued. So I ended up giving this one 3.5 Pushinicorns. A very good time. And there we go. That's all the books. Holy crap, I got through all of them, and I don't think I talked for 45 minutes. Not quite, almost, but I managed to get quite a few in there. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already and you feel so inclined. Leave a little emoji if you don't have anything to say but just want to give a hello. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.